George McDermott coming to you from the back of the U.S. Supreme Court. It's June 12th at 11:30 p.m. I just got finished filing two papers, a motion, 22-page motion, emergency motion to Chief Justice Roberts, to an individual judge, and a memorandum to the court clerk. Also outlining fraud and obstruction of justice, conspiracy to obstruct justice, mail fraud, and extortion on part of court members, both in this court, the U.S. Court of Appeals, the U.S. District Court, Greenbelt, the U.S. Bankruptcy Court, Greenbelt, and the 7th Judicial Circuit and Maryland Courts of Appeals. In the motion, I was citing a recent opinion by this court that May 16th, 2011, where the court upheld that the court officers, that the government agents cannot withhold FOIA requests. They have to act promptly, and they have to provide the documents requested. No documents, every request that I've had for FOIA has been ignored. Every request that I have submitted to this court has been ignored. I have 300 unsigned orders in this court as evidence of that. And then after last week, if you check with programs 297, 98, 99, 300, and 301 at secretjustice.com, you'll see how it's impossible for a citizen to file a criminal complaint against any judicial officer or anybody involved in the court system. The FBI refuses to allow people to file it. They even give you fictitious addresses to go to now to shield their corruption. The Maryland Attorney General refuses to allow people past the front door in the building in Baltimore, if you're saying they have absolutely no jurisdiction over fraud, bank fraud, or foreclosure fraud. That's a false claim. The DLLR in Maryland also asserts that they have no legal jurisdiction to help victims of foreclosure fraud and bank fraud. So I'm going to take these two motions, copy them, deliver a copy to each member of the U.S. House of Representatives from Maryland, all 8 from 8 districts, and to the 2 senators in Maryland tomorrow, asking that they set up an emergency meeting with higher-ups in the Justice Department and the FBI, so that myself, Gene Michaud, Sam Brenner, the Willards, Josie, and other members who have been defrauded by these courts can file a criminal complaint against the banks, the attorneys involved, and the court insiders who are helping them commit fraud on the court on a regular basis. This is a clear case of the courts not acting in conformity with the FOIA request, which the May 16th opinion of this court said that they have to. I have petitioned all 541 members of the U.S. House, Senate. I'm awaiting their response. I'm pretty sure I'll get none. I've already petitioned. The time for the Sheriff's Department in Calvary County to respond has expired. All the FOIA requests furnished to the courts so far have been false claims asserted in legal letters back to me saying they have no jurisdiction, that they're subject to the FOIA request, which the Supreme Court just said that's a bunch of crap. So this is George McDermott signing off for Secret Justice, the Victims Roundtable, from the land of the scam and the home of the fraud, the United States Supreme Court, Washington, D.C., June 12, 2011. God bless and have a good day. George McDermott. It's 3 o'clock on 13th day of June 2011. I just left the clerk's office, United States Supreme Court, where I viewed the 2 case files, which I notified the clerk yesterday that I would be in viewing.
Technically,
the case number 10A662 has no longer existed. It apparently has been consolidated with the petition at 10-10-236. Unfortunately, the file is about this thick. It's missing 90% of the content that was filed in those 2 cases, and this is an absolute sham and a fraud on the court. I also got a copy of the court docket, and as you can clearly say, this was printed today by the clerk's office, and there are 3 docket entries. And that means that the application was filed in 10A662. Extension of time was granted. Application was granted by Chief Justice for extension of time. Petition for writ of certiorari for leave to proceed in form of papyrus and response due May 31st. And there's nothing else. These 3 docket entries. Now, they sent me a letter granting the petition. I filed the documents. You've got a case number here. How fraudulent can this be? Somebody's really, there's no, at this time, there's no response from M&T Bank or its gangster lawyers, McFadden and Company. There's no opposition. There's no notice of appearance. Their time has come and went. They know by video record that they had an obligation to file. They are once again relying on the clerk's office of this court to cover up their criminal frauds. I'm leaving here, and if you turn around, I'm heading over to the Senate office buildings to meet with petition Barbara Mikulski and Senator Cardin, and then I'm going over to Congress to meet with all 8 of the congressional representatives, and this is the letter that I will be delivering to them. And this is basically the first paragraph. This is a follow-up to the June 2nd, 2011 request for your office regarding the out-of-control foreclosure frauds system operating in Maryland courts, disenfranchising your constituents and the rights and properties through a broken, corrupted judicial system, which has no respect for the rule of law, the Constitution. I am enclosing a June 12, 2011 emergency motion to the Supreme Court of the United States asking intervention to stop the abuse of due process rights in Maryland courts. And the reason I had to file the emergency motion is because on last Friday, June 3rd, June 4th rather, we went to the FBI office, Maryland Attorney General's office, Maryland DLLR, and no one has jurisdiction or authority to stop or to investigate foreclosure fraud in this country. Our Congress, all of our congressmen and senators signed on to it with a letter from our governor, Governor O'Malley. No one has jurisdiction. So I will read the rest of this as I go through the congressional buildings, one phase at a time. But right now I'm heading over to Cardin's office and to Mikulski's, and I'm getting sick and tired of these people drawing down paychecks and disrespecting the Constitution of this country. So, one other note, I got a email the other day that says that I now owe, according to New York Times, believe it was New York Times, USA Today, that I and every citizen of this country owe the government $541,000. Please remit payment for your portion of the national debt. I remit nothing because you failed to provide honest services for what you're supposed to do. Congress isn't doing honest services, the courts aren't doing honest services, the Justice Department's not doing honest services, and we're not doing honest services.
Okay.
We'll come to each other in a minute.
I feel like this is what I was trying to warn you of earlier.
George McDermott, I'm inside the Hart office building. I just left Congressman, I'm inside the Hart Senate office building. I just left Barbara Mikulski's office, and I left Ben Cardin's office, where they gave me a number to call in Baltimore, and they will send it over there. They couldn't understand why I would want to get the Deputy Director of the FBI, U.S. Justice Department involved in this matter. Well, so many of your constituents are being robbed of their rights that there's nothing else you can do at this point. We're not getting fair services for what we're paying out. Each American now owes the government $541,000. Yet we can't file any complaints, we can't get justice. So I'm heading over to the Senate office, House office buildings to deliver the other 8 packages that I have. This is the second paragraph off of the letter to Jack. Congressman, having not received a correspondence regarding my June 2nd, 2000 request of your office, nor have the victims been contacted by your office, the situation has gotten much worse, as it is for many victims in America's judicial system. Myself and victims have jointly visited the Maryland Attorney General's office, the DLLR, and twice attempted to file a complaint with the FBI in Baltimore, and also in Annapolis, which turned out to be a fictitious address taken off of the FBI website along with the driving directions. This can be chronicled at a video and videos were made of the same in which are posted at secretjustice.com, programs 298 through 301, all with no success. We're heading over to the Russell building right now. George McDermott. I'm here at the Cannon office building. Yes, I'm going to visit Andrew P. Harris, Maryland Congressman, and Donna Edwards, the one I've been running against for several years. I'm also on a request for a grand jury investigation into the FBI Justice Department and Maryland courts for fraud and conspiracy to obstruct justice, based on the Supreme Court's ruling in the Schindler case and also in the U.S. versus Skilling's case. I'm going to read the third paragraph of this letter at this time. Congressman, we now formally request your assistance in setting up a meeting between myself and Gene Rashad, Sharon Galloway, Sam Brenner, Doug and Deborah Williams, and Charlie Azar as representatives of victims of Maryland who have been disenfranchised of their legal rights by an openly corrupt court system. See petition to the U.S. Supreme Court and secretjusticevideo.com. So, That's where we're at. I showed this idiot docket of the Supreme Court to Cardin's and Sarbanes' staff. They have no comment. Well, if I'm $541,000 indebted to this country, then this country owes me due process rights of law. And I have a right to sue the judges and everybody else involved for conspiracy to defraud. So I'll pick this up in the Cannon office building. The office building when I go there. Doesn't have a good day. George McDermott coming to you from the Longworth office building. Congressman Steny Hoyer's office is in the rear. Chris Van Hollins is next door. I just got finished delivering the request to them to have someone set up a meeting with the director of the FBI, the deputy director of the FBI, and the deputy director of the U.S. Justice Department to investigate the fraud and corruption in the courts. Steny Hoyer has known that Thomas Smith has hijacked every one of my cases since 1995 and done nothing. He's basically not exactly what I would call a reputable congressman and should be removed from office. Now, Gene Michaud and the victims in Calvert County, Sharon Galloway, Sam Brenner, Deborah and Doug Williams. All have been victimized by this corrupt courts. So it's time that they get on the stick and do something. We're running out of time in this country, and nobody's doing anything except running around office to office making deals. George McDermott signing off from the Longworth office building. From MarylandCourtWatch.com, SecretJustice.com. George McDermott, Maryland Court Watch, SecretJustice.com news. I'm just leaving the Rayburn House office building. I visited the last 4 congressional offices for the state of Maryland. Just as happened in the Longworth, in the Cannon office building, nobody's there to talk to you. You can't talk to anybody. They give you the cards. And you're supposed to make an appointment online. I'm sure this is the way that happens with lobbyists who come in to lobby these congressmen and senators, that they all have to make appointments online. I did talk to the receptionists in each area, and they were very pleasant, but once again, not a whole lot of help. I'm very concerned that the Supreme Court documents that I viewed before I started going to the congressional offices, I'm very concerned that 90% of these documents are missing. None of the lodged appendix are there. 3 lodged appendix containing over 300 unsigned orders from various courts. The lodged appendixes are the most important part of a case file. The motion I filed yesterday was not even on the record. As a matter of fact, the record is so devoid that I should be entitled to a summary ruling by the court in my favor, because the last docket entry, according to the court's docket, right here, Take a good, strong look at that. The clerk of the court has not made one docket entry since the 28th day of February 2011. So, using their own document printed out today, no responsive pleadings have been filed, no opposition has been filed, no notice of appearance has been filed by McFadden Group and the gangsters at M&T Bank and BB&T Bank. Nothing has been filed according to the Supreme Court's official record. And these documents, I copied all these documents today. The last document in there, here's an April 29th letter from the court. That's not February, that's April 29th. The petition for writ of certiorari in the above case was filed on February 28th and placed on the docket April 29th as number 10-10236. The form enclosed for notifying opposing counsel that the case was docketed. I sent the dockets in, opposing counsel knew of it, nobody filed anything. Summary judgment time, folks. Here's a March 1st one. This is not in, okay? This is an order, this is from the court. George McDermott versus Kenneth J. McFadden. The title case was writ of certiorari was postmarked and received February 28th. The papers are returned for the following reason. Now this is March 1st. They were received February 28th. No notarized affidavit. They've got their notarized affidavit. It's been filed. That's not on the court's docket. Please correct and resubmit as soon as possible. I corrected and resubmitted it. No papers, no mention of that on the docket. A copy was served on opposing counsel, yes. December 29th. Unsigned order. You notice everything is unsigned, folks. Everything. Jeffrey Atkins, Supervisor Case Analysis. And all this says is the application for extension of time, which to file a petition for writ of certiorari in the above case was presented to Chief Justice on December 29th and extended time including February 28th. I filed my papers properly. This letter was sent to the designated parties. And here's the notification list. That's it. That's all you get anymore in the Supreme Court. Everything is secreted, and that's why I had to file the. Well, here's where the case started back in December 20th, 2010. Once again, all unsigned. And yet the government says that we're USA Today says that this nation is $68 trillion in debt, and my portion of that is $541,000. If you can't speak to your congressman, they're no good. They're only here for the lobbyists. Your congressmen do nothing for you. Your senators do nothing for you. The President of the United States spends all his time flying around the country promoting re-election for party insiders. The Supreme Court of the United States will not sign any orders. You can't get any signed orders from the Courts of Appeal in Maryland, U.S. Courts of Appeal in any circuit. And how can you say you're providing honest services for what you're getting? And I will find out next week whether the congressmen, the 541 members of Congress who were lawfully petitioned under the FOIA request to produce the 3 simple documents. The document giving judges judicial immunity for crimes they commit while on office and in the bench, in conflict with Article 3 of the U.S. Constitution, which says they can only hold office during terms of good behavior. The constitutional amendment that allows judges to issue unsigned orders that the clerks of the court will not authenticate or validate, and the constitutional amendment that allows judges to act outside of 18 U.S.C. 3057 United States Criminal Code and fail to report and ask for grand jury investigations when fraud on the court has been presented to them and validated. I will wait and see what they come up with. So, this is George McDermott signing off from MarylandCourtWatch.com and SecretJustice.com. In the land of the scam and the home of the fraud, the U.S. House of Representatives, Washington, D.C., 13th day of June, 2011. God bless and have a good day.